What up, what up? I'm just gonna get into why I'm making this video. MLB Network comes up with a top 10 list pretty much every year of each player in each position. I've been watching this program for maybe 6 to 7, maybe 8 years now, but I never came up with my own list. So this year I came up with my own list. Today they're gonna be releasing their list for center fielders and left fielders. I'm not sure which one starts first. I believe the first one is at 6 p.m. today, so in a couple hours. Um, I did not get a chance to do left fielders. Honestly, don't have the time. This shit takes a lot of fucking time. But I will be doing more lists, and today I will be giving you guys my top 10 center fielders right now. These are not my favorite players. These are just the guys who I think are considered top 10 projecting into next year. I did look at guys' full careers when coming up with this list, but I didn't really factor that into the list. Um, the more important thing for me was the past 3 years and projecting onto next year, meaning if a guy is maybe a rookie guy or a guy who does not have a lot of experience could be on my list, being that he had a good season, but it's a small sample size. And he's a young dude or whatever the case may be. Maybe there's a position open for him to start. Um, a couple older guys maybe I left off the list or I still added on the list. But I'm always looking at age. So if I'm projecting onto next year, um, I do project a couple of these guys to have some regression. So that might be the reason they're not on the list. So with that being said, I'm just gonna jump right into it. My top 10 center fielder right now, number one is Mike Trout. I don't really have to get into why he's the best. He's the best player in the league. I think out of all major sports, there is no real discrepancy as to who's the best in the MLB right now. Honestly, I think basketball guys go between Kawhi, LeBron, um, who else? Uh, Kawhi, LeBron, oh, and Durant, who's out this year. But baseball, it's 100. It's Mike Trout. So I'm gonna jump onto my second center fielder right now, who is Cody Bellinger. Bellinger is an interesting case because he can kind of play all over the outfield. I don't know 100% if he's going to be playing center field next year, but he's played a lot of games there, and that's what's being projected right now. Bellinger had an amazing year. He won the 2019 MVP. He led. I don't know if he led the league. I'm not sure, but he had a 629 slugging percentage. He led the league in total bases. Uh, he became one of the most feared hitters in all of baseball this year, being that he led the league with 21 intentional walks. So you already know guys don't want to pitch to him. He capped off the year with an MVP, a Gold Glove, which that I have to mention too. This is a two-way guy, plus offense, plus defense. I think he had about 47 homers or so. I could be wrong. Um, he won a Gold Glove, a Silver Slugger, MVP, like I said, and he has 111 home runs in his first 3 years. So he's off to one of the better starts I've seen in a long time to start off your career. With that being said, I'm going to jump to number three. I got George Springer of the Houston Astros. He's a three-time All-Star, two-time Silver Slugger. He's got a lifetime 361 on-base percentage. Just this past year, 2019, he had a 974 OPS plus, slugging 591. So this dude is pretty legit. I mean, he can hit, he can play center. He's a bigger center fielder, but he's a decent fielder. Uh, and yeah, He can hit and hits for power, gets on base, so I got him at number 3. Number 4 is really interesting. Number 4, I have Whit Merrifield of the Kansas City Royals. Whit is not really considered a center fielder, at least not full time. Whit is a utility player in my eyes. Primarily a second baseman, but he plays all over the field. He can play left, center, right. He can play second, third. I don't know if I don't think he's played shortstop, but he can pretty much play all around the diamond. But he's interesting because being that he was a second baseman primarily, I think it was reported by Jeffrey Flanagan. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Jeffrey Flanagan of MLB.com. He's pretty much taking over center field full time for the Kansas City Royals in 2020. So that's why I have him on my list. He hasn't exclusively played there. Like I said, he pretty much plays all over the diamond. What else do I have on him? In 1,178 innings dating back to 2016, playing in the outfield, he's made 4 errors. So what that tells me is he can play outfield, basically. I don't really have to get too deep into it. He can play outfield. Reason I have him number 4 on this list is because regardless of the status in his primary position, he is one of the best hitters in the league. He's led the league in hits the past 2 years. He's a, I mean, I don't even want to give him a label, but he's a pretty good base stealer. This year I did see some regression. I think he stole 25 and he got caught 10 times, which that's not a good percentage. But this is the first dip I see. It could be because he's over 30 now. But this is the first year where I see his stolen base percentage this bad. I don't want to say he's a bad base stealer. I believe he stole like I don't have exact numbers of everything here. I did this in about 3 hours looking up stats. I didn't write down every stat I saw, but he's led the league in stolen bases before, so I'm eager to see what he does next year in terms of the base path. But like I said, one of the best hitters in the league, and he's moving on to play center field. So let's see what he does this year. Number 5, I have Starling Marte of the Pittsburgh Pirates. You got a good combination of power and speed when it comes to Marte. He's played a lot of left field. The past 2 years, he's played pretty much primarily in center field. His defensive stats don't line up the same way, him playing center as opposed to him playing left. He's a much better left fielder. But with this being his 3rd full year, going to be entrenched in center. You never know. He's still learning the position. I don't think he's a bad defender, but he's a Gold Glove caliber left fielder. And a lot of people think that outfield positions are the same. They're really not. The angles are different. The range is different. What the space you're in charge of is different. Things like that. Marte has a 287 average. Last year in 2019, 341 on base, 452 slugging. That's his lifetime's splits. In 2019, his slugging percentage jumped up to 503, so that's pretty good. Pretty much everybody's slugging percentage jumped up to some extent this year, being that the ball was changed. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but Marte, if he stays healthy and continues to play the way he does, I don't see why he wouldn't be on this list coming up next year as well. But yeah, if he stays healthy, I think for a full year he could be even higher. He's stolen at least 21 bases every year other than his rookie year. So he's pretty much power, speed guy, average defense and center, but he's top 5 center fielders right now in my opinion. I'm a Mets fan. They wanted to trade for him. I was definitely okay with it, but we got Brandon Nimmo playing center field this year. He's not on my list, but uh, I wouldn't be surprised if he's on my list next year. With that being said, I'm jumping to number 6. I have Lorenzo Cain of the Milwaukee Brewers. Um, Cain has a 288 career average. He had a down year in 2019. He played through a couple injuries. Offensively, he had a down year. He's still a Gold Glove caliber center fielder, one of the best fielders in the league. You cannot take that away from him. But he is entering his 34H season. So that is one of the single reasons why I have him 6th and Marte 5th. Marte had a better 2019 while he struggled at the plate 2019. But I wouldn't be surprised if he bounced back. Um, I believe he's hit, let me check my notes here. I believe he's hit over 300 5 or 6 times in his career. So this is a pretty good bat. Had a down year. I still have him high up, number 6. And jumping on to number 7, I have Brett Gardner of the New York Yankees. Brett is not really, he's not really a center fielder. He used to play center earlier in his career, but he's played a lot of left field for the Yankees in the past couple of years. Last year with injuries to Aaron Hicks and other guys, he did play a majority of his games in center field. That's why he is on this list. He played pretty much a full year. He had 0 errors for the entire year, which I love. I'm a sucker for defense. He had about, I believe, 28 home runs. His slugging percentage increased mightily. But he is turning 37 years old next year. So I have him 7th, but he could be higher. He had a great year, but he definitely could be higher. Slugged 503, and he's getting older, but it seems like he's improving as time goes by. I would be surprised if he has the same year next year, because I don't think he's even gonna get as many at bats. But you never know. Yankees re-signed him, I think, to 1 year, $10 million contract. So I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. And yeah, jumping to number 8, I have Ender Inciarte of the Atlanta Braves. He missed a lot of time last year due to injury. He's one of the better defenders in all of baseball. I believe he's a 3-time Gold Glover. He's got a 286 average. He's got above average tools in pretty much 4 of the 5 major tools. With that being his defense, his arm, his speed, and his contact. Power is not there, but I don't need every outfielder to hit for power. He has a pretty good all-around game. Like I said, he missed a lot of time last year. I wouldn't be surprised if he's higher on this list next year, but I don't know what the Braves have planned in terms of center field. I don't know if Acuna is going to be moved to center field. They also have a prospect. I think his name is Christian Pache. Maybe I'm saying his name wrong. He's on the way. He's a pretty good prospect. I don't know if he will be taking over. But if Ender Inciarte is healthy, he's a guy I definitely want on my team. Speed, defense, contact, like I said. He's a pretty good all-around player. He's not going to wow you with stats, but he does everything pretty well other than hit for power. Jumping to number 9, I have Ramon Laureano. He plays for the Oakland Athletics. He has one of the best throwing arms I've ever seen. I've seen this guy, as we've all probably seen him, make incredible throws from outfield, from the warning track, throwing guys out at first base. I mean, it's pretty crazy. I don't have video for you guys. The list takes way too long for me to come up with. If you want to look him up, I definitely suggest you watch his highlight reel, his defensive highlight reel. He's a beast. He's a younger player. He has about one, if you count up all his at bats, he has about 1 full year now in terms of service time. But he is a newer guy, but I did give him a chance because I see the tools. He's a good hitter. He gets on base. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's higher on this list next year. Number 10 was really hard for me. I debated between Kevin Pillar, I debated between Malik Smith, and I debated between Victor Robles. Ultimately, I came up with the decision to pick Robles. I think he's a pretty good player. He's got plus plus defense. I wouldn't be surprised if he wins a Gold Glove within the next coming years. His offense is still on the way, but he was a rookie, so that's gonna come with time. He's got plus power as well. He's another guy like Marte, plus speed, plus power. Definitely tools that you would like to see in a center fielder. He won a championship this year with the Washington Nationals and definitely produced for them and contributed to their playoff run. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do. But I could have put Kevin Pillar here. Kevin Pillar is interesting because he had maybe his best year. But when you look into his numbers, his counting stats are pretty high. When I say counting stats, I mean home runs, RBIs. Uh, what else? What else am I looking for? He had a decent amount of stolen bases. I think he had somewhere from 15 to 20. I'm not exactly sure, but he had a good stolen base percentage, which I like. But one big reason, probably the only reason he's not maybe even eighth, ninth on my list is his on base percentage. I'm really big on base percentage. Um, I think a lot of times guys have a decent average, but their on base percentage is really low. And you really got to think about what's the name of the game: get on base and score runs. So his on base percentage was under 300. There's no way really I can put him on the list and leave guys like Jackie Bradley Jr. off, who's one of the best defenders in the entire league. Probably, I could go out on a limb and say he's probably the best center fielder right now. Just if you think about how good he is, he's got his gold gloves, but also how hard it is to play center field in Boston. And he does it so fluidly. So I ended up, like I said, picking up Robles with my number 10 spot. I also wanted to put Malik Smith there. He can play all three positions. Malik Smith plays for the Seattle Mariners. He plays center field. He can play all around the outfield. I'm gonna be showing you guys, for those of you guys who play MLB The Show, I'm gonna be showing you guys what I have done with my lineup. I play on franchise mode, and I play with the Mets. But I like to mix my team around. Malik Smith is a guy who I have on my team. I'm just a sucker for speed and defense. And I believe he led the league in stolen bases this year. Um, he had a down year offensively. 2018, he had a pretty good year with the bat. I wouldn't be surprised if he steps up this year, and maybe he's higher on my list. I definitely wanted to keep him on 10, but yeah, I also thought about Byron Buxton, Ian Desmond, Danny Santana, who pretty much plays all around the diamond. He had a breakout year in 2019. At an older age, I believe he was 28 or 27. But I don't know where he's playing next year. I honestly don't know. He played a lot of first base when Guzman got injured. I don't know where he's going to play, so that's the reason he's off my list. But there's my top 10. The list comes out on MLB Network in about 2 hours. Actually, I think 6 o'clock. I don't even know what time it is right now. So I'm excited to see what they come up with. Like I said, their list is computer generated, just a bunch of stats thrown together. So I'm not trying to predict their list. I'm just telling you who are my top 10. And I believe next week is another two lists. I will be doing those. And anybody who feels interested to make their own list might as well do it. I mean, it takes a lot of time, but it's a lot of fun. And we'll see what happens. See you guys later.